And yeah, go and have a look. Go and do your own research. But QANX is a game-changing layer one code. There's a game-changing layer one blockchain. You can code in any language. You can resist quantum attacks. And go and have a look at this. Read. It's got everything you need to know. Yeah. This is the really important chart here. The comparison. Have a look at that. Look at this. So this is a layer one which hasn't released onto mainnet yet. So the testnet's been launched, but it's not on mainnet yet. So you're basically early. If you're buying into QANX right now, you're early. Like literally, you're early. And here you can see that when it's finally launched soon, it's going to have a really super fast transaction speed. What's the difference between private and public? Well, you can have Quan platform on a private network, like a private blockchain. You can the public one is for everyone. So you can see how fast it is, and you can program in any language. I don't know what the rest means. Oh yeah, it's EVM compatible, so it's compatible with Ethereum. But the main thing is that it's quantum resistant. So the algorithms or whatever they use to program it, the language or whatever they use, I don't know, it's all technical, but the idea is that in the future, when quantum chips come of age, that this blockchain will be able to resist quantum attacks, whereas other blockchains will have the potential to be compromised, yeah, once their security is hacked. And then the wallets will all become open wallets, and the value of those chains will go to zero effectively overnight, because everyone will be like extracting their value instantly. Basically, when quantum computing comes of age, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, Polkadot, and Solana will all go to zero effectively. And then all of the capital, all the value will transfer to quantum resistant chains, and Quan platform, the QANX token, is going to be one of those chains of the future. And at the moment it says the market cap is one. I don't know what the market cap is right now. It's probably roughly around the same place. Let me have a look. QANX coin market cap. I'm really not an expert on this technology. Oh my god, the market cap's even lower than I thought. It's at $56 million. Look at that. Really low, really low. And the interesting thing about the Quan platform, where is it? Did I lose it? Is if you go to the blog, you can start seeing the partnerships that they've developed. Their business partners, they've got a really interesting use case for IBM. So that's a big deal. This is a big deal. Yeah, just to be a business. If you imagine this blockchain is only $50 million in market cap value, and they've become IBM's business partner. Go and have a look at that. Read that blog article, because IBM has a real business use case for using the QANX blockchain, the Quan platform blockchain, to secure their data. Yeah, and they even said, according to IBM's 2024 cost of data breach report, the global average cost of data breach has reached $4.88 million per incident. And so one of the things that hackers do is they delete logs, and one of the things that IBM wants to do is integrate the Quan platform to prevent logs from being deleted, because obviously it's a ledger, isn't it? So there's a real use case here, and if you think at how low the QANX token is, then this is something to look forward to. But also, if you go here in their blog, you'll see that according to this, they haven't named the EU country, but apparently they've made a partnership with an EU country to be used in the public sector of that EU. Because they haven't announced the EU country, so we don't know which one it is. That's a big deal. Okay. And look, the announcement was made in Switzerland, so maybe it's actually Switzerland. Who knows? It could be, but Switzerland's not EU, so maybe another country in EU. And then the other interesting blog post here is this one, which is that the Quant platform signed a $15 million VC deal for its quantum resistant layer 1 blockchain. See that? And this is the founder and chairman Sheikh Mansour bin Khalifa Al Thani, the Qatari ruling family. So there's some big guns on this project. And just to think that the mainnet hasn't been launched yet. It's going to be launched soon. And so I do videos on this. I do have the token. I have accumulated a good portion of the token. Why? Because the charts tell me it's a good token to accumulate. Yeah. When I look at the charts, what do you see? I see a multi-year accumulation range, basically, ever since the token was launched in November 21. Launched at the end of the last bull market. Basically the token's been going sideways. You look at this. What is that? That's a bridge hack. It's not the chain wasn't hacked. A bridge that they were using was hacked, and then everyone who lost money was rewarded 1-to-1 for their losses, and so that price just jumped right back up. So ultimately what we're looking at is a multi-year accumulation range, and in the context of what's coming next, i.e. alt season, then I'm expecting a breakout to the upside, which is why I'm doing this. That's why I've accumulated and why I'm interested in QANX. So what I want to do today, if you haven't looked at my other videos, you can go and have a look at my videos on QANX on my YouTube page. I do QANX a lot, and so if you're interested in QANX, just go to my YouTube page. Here is the link. I'll paste it into chat, so you can have a look. And there you go. There it is. And you can search and find all my videos on QANX. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm not. Most of the time it's entertainment and raising awareness on this project. But let's have a look at these targets. I really wanted to do targets, and so for me, targets are fib targets are the ones to look at. So I've got a lot of shit data here which I haven't deleted. So yeah, let's have a look at these. So we've got the price discovery horizontal channels, which I had from before. That's quite interesting. Then we've got this EW, right? So these are the ones I'm interested in right now. Let's just hide those channels for a second. Right, what I'm going to do is this. Let's hide that as well. Just wanted to see where it was. Okay. The assumption here is that this is the beginning of the next wave. This is the assumption. And we're in a corrective now. This is the corrective. Right? That's the assumption. If we take out that pivot low, then that invalidates this first wave. So there's always a caveat when it comes to Elliot waves, because there's always an invalidation which invalidates your idea. And the assumption for me, and it's a big assumption, but I think I'm right. I think I'm right at the moment, is that this refund, that refund was your first wave. See that? That was your first wave. Okay. Now, I just want to kind of just, based on those assumptions, try and have a look at these fib targets. And I'm not 100% where to take from, because the data is really sketchy, isn't it? It's pretty sketchy data. Do you take it from there to there to there? That would mean that this move, that initial move, went to the 618 of that first wave. Or do you take it all the way down to there? Which means the 618 target is at 26 or 20 shade on the 27 cents. Let's get rid of this. Right, the other thing I want to do is do a fib retracement to the from the all-time high to this low here. Perfect. Look at that. That's interesting, isn't it? I just wanted to see how relevant this pivot was. That's why I did that. Okay. And you know it's relevant. You know that pivot's relevant because the 786 reacts perfectly here and here. And it was actually a really important SR flip there. And the golden pocket of that fib pull from that pivot high there, the launch high to the pivot low there, is acting as a really nice SR flip area. You see that? You see that? And you see that? You can see that, right? So that gives you confidence. It gives you confidence about these pivots. And maybe that's the pivots we use. So on the first kind of, it's really tricky to use, yeah? But maybe on the first fib pull, I'm going to try and take it from the pivot low here to the pivot high to potentially the first wave where it began here. That would be wave 1. I'm just going to do it like that for now and I'm assuming that's correct, okay? Which gives us an initial target of 27 cents, which will be all-time highs. Have I marked off the all-time high here? What does the all-time high say on CoinGecko, coin market cap? It says 30. So you see the all-time high says 38. So I don't know where the data comes in from that. So that's kind of, it won't be the all-time high, will it? Let's see CoinGecko. Let's have a look there. See, CoinGecko says 20 cents. And what does CoinMarketCap say? 38 cents. So how rubbish is that? How rubbish is that? So the reported market caps are shit. They're shit. So let's have a look at something else. Let's have a look at the volume. And according to this, the volume is mostly on Gate. Do you see that? 43% on Gate. So based on this, I'm just going to use the Gate data and ignore the rest. Yeah. I'm just literally going to ignore all the other data. For me, it's irrelevant. The only thing that matters is what's on Gate. Even though the depth is low, that's where most of the volume is. You can see that, can't you? And this one is Gate.io. So that's where most of the volume is. So therefore, I'm just going to assume that that pivot high on Gate to that pivot low are the correct pivots because that's where the volume is. And forget about all the other reported data. I'm just going to ignore it. And so actually, that would be the all-time high. That would be the launch high, which isn't 20 cents. According to this, it's like 17 cents. So I'm going to ignore the all-time high. I'm just going to go over this chart. Okay. That's what I'm going to do. Is lots of assumptions. I'm making a lot of assumptions to get to this place. I'm just explaining as I go along. And so for me right now, there's a few things going on. And so I'll do 2 pulls. I've got the original fib pull, which is nice because it gives us the golden pocket, which is, we've back tested the golden pocket once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. The golden pocket's holding a support, isn't it? You can see that, can't you? And if I was to do a volume pull, we're also above the point of control too. So we've got quite a lot of support now forming here, haven't we? Golden pocket and the point of control. And we're putting in higher lows. So we're in a really good situation with this token. We're still in the range. Okay. Now that was your wave 1 all the way from that pivot low to there. That was your ABC corrective. I'm just imagining something else at the moment, actually. Let me see. Hold on. Let me just do something else. So it's just something just came into my mind. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it looks like ABC. Yeah, ABC. Could that be an ABC? I don't think so, but let's just imagine that it is. I just want to see how this would look. Oh shit, that looks quite nice as well, doesn't it? That would change things. This would actually change things if this whole thing was corrective. Yeah. Whereas before I've imagined this to be the first impulse, which is really impulsive. Yeah. It's a 500% increase in value in a very short period of time. And it never gets invalidated because you never take out the low. There is also a possibility that this is just an ABC correction. This whole thing is an ABC correction. And now we're in the last part of this correction. Maybe we finished it. Maybe it's... it'd be like this. Bam, bam, bam. Just looking at it right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ABC, 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 ABC. And that's your correction over. And we've actually just finished the correction. There's two ways of looking at this, actually, just to be honest with you. And it's hard to know because we haven't invalidated that first wave. Let me just draw this out as well, because I just kind of, it just crossed my mind, and it's actually quite interesting. And I'll map it out like this, so you can see what I'm thinking. So this is the thing. That could just be a normal ABC right there. And that's your wave 1. And everything here is just a correction for the next wave, which is your wave 3. Or the whole thing could be a correction, and we haven't even had the one yet. Yeah. It's trickier. It's hard to know until it all happens. But this looks good too. I mean, this idea also looks good. Correction, ABC. A kind of big correction there, and then another finished correction for an impulse. Taking these lows for the first impulse. The only thing that I'm not seeing is volume. That's kind of what makes me hesitate about this impulsive move, because it's a really low volume move for a wave 3, and it's the first wave as well. And then it's a first. The problem I have with this wave is you go into this really nice kind of impulsive wave. It lasts about a month. And ever since that wave, we're in a 1.5 year correction, which doesn't really make sense, because usually after you have your first wave, you'll have your correction and you have your next wave, you have your correction and you have your next wave. That's your wave 3, isn't it? That's the only reason why I'm a little bit hesitant on my original idea, because the whole thing's taken too long. It's taken too long, isn't it? After you had that first wave, it shouldn't take this long to get into the next wave. Yeah, it's taken too long to impulse again, which makes me think this whole thing is a correction after that initial first wave, which is that one here, which makes me think that actually this might be more correct. Yeah, it's food for thought. Okay, that's all it is right now. I'm thinking. I'm thinking, and I'm just thinking out really loudly so you can hear my thought process. And obviously, if you guys have any ideas, then contribute. Okay. And so in my mind, that refund was the first wave. I'm still in that mindset. Right from the pivot low, let's just say right from the pivot low all the way up to there, that was your wave 1. Done. Ever since that first wave, we're correcting. The whole thing has been one sideways movement, a correction. You've had some impulsive parts to this correction, which aligns quite nicely with the Bitcoin bull market, but potentially we're still correcting. The whole thing's a correction. Yeah. And maybe this is the first wave. Maybe. Just because we take out these lows and it's time, it looks quite nicely timed as well. So let me just kind of work out the timings. Let me go to the weekly chart, it'd be better. Let me just make it line it up a little bit better so it looks good. Archery. Do you trade setups or buy holds, sell half and double, and establish risk proportion? I do a lot of things. I do that and more. On Bitcoin, no. On Bitcoin, I'll just trade it. I'm based on a trade plan, and I'm not trading at the moment though, actually, because I've only just got back from a massive hiatus, a massive away period. So right now, it's all entertainment. But what I'm doing right now with you, I would do for myself. I would analyze the charts, try and understand what's happening, and then form a trade plan and identify areas of support and resistance. And then with spot, what you really want to do is into big resistance, you want to sell half, really. You want to sell half. When it comes to trading perps, slightly different because you have to only risk a certain percentage of your portfolio. You have to have an invalidation and you have to take profit to create a risk-free position in that sense. Yeah. All right. I actually like this. I'm starting to like this more. It's weird. Now you come back to the charts and you have a different vision. Huh? My vision has changed. Let's just see. Is that the pivot low? God, I'm going to be spending a lot of time on QANX today just because I've kind of led myself down this freaking rabbit hole. That's what happens when you do Elliot waves. You just like non-stop rabbit holes. All right. ABC, ABC, ABC. And then you have another ABC here. ABC, ABC, ABC. And then fib time there to the it's a bit off, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That works. Unless that's the pivot. If that's the pivot. No. Could be that pivot. If that's the pivot. So yeah, that could work too. Kind of almost after it. It's a shame it's not lined up perfectly because I would have really loved for that to be there and not there. Let's try something else. You see that goes lower there. See that? So that's actually here. That's the correct pivot. So to the lows. Okay, that makes better sense. So if that's the pivot, just make sure that's the high. Yep. And the high is actually to there, really. But it could be a up and down. The second pivot. Let's have a look. Let's try this again. Nope. Well, that's better. That is actually better. Hold on, let me just see if I can line it up. Maybe that's the one there then. So it goes lower, but that's actually when it jumps. Let's have a look at this in detail. To there. One, two, three. Yeah, that's definitely to this one. There to there. Okay. Let's have a look at this one. It probably still is that one, even though if that one goes lower, it's just a higher low. And then you've got there. Okay. Let's have a look at this. There to there. It's a shame it doesn't line up properly. Usually when you get, usually it comes back to the correct fibs. This comes back to the 886 here, look, 886, see that? Just in that fib pool. It comes back to the last line of the fence right there. And it takes out those lows. It's a really nice low there, the way that worked. I have another idea, huh? I actually have another idea. It's really crazy, but actually I think possibly we haven't impulsed. We have not impulsed. That's kind of what I'm thinking now. Even though it looks quite impulsive, and I was initially thinking that was an impulse. The thing is, when you imagine something as an impulse, the impulse has to continue. And when you don't get the continuation, it makes you wonder. Like when I was looking at this last year, and I was thinking, hey, nice impulse. Look, ABC. Oh, that's a nice impulse. Let's not lose the highs there. You know, like I was thinking different things. And actually nothing happened the way that made sense for this to be the first impulsive move. This impulsive. And then you got this impulse. Was that your first impulse? I mean, it was impulsive and we haven't taken the low. So technically, yes, because we haven't taken a low. If that's your first impulse, This is a really fucking long correction for such a short impulsive move, if that's the impulsive one. Yeah. And so that's kind of what's on my mind. Look, how many weeks was that? That was 5, 6, 6, 7 weeks. Yeah. 7-week impulse. And after that 7-week impulse, we're now 1.5 years correcting. It makes no sense. Just for a measly 500% correction, it makes no sense. Yeah. That we're correcting for so long without impulsing. That makes no sense. By now we should have impulsed for higher prices, yeah, for continuation, which we haven't done. So that's, and then so if that was the big one impulse, then this whole thing is a corrective too. This whole thing, if that was the one impulse, this whole thing's a corrective too. Or maybe we just do what a lot of people originally said and forget the hack. You can't forget the data because the fibs are lining up perfectly to that pivot low. But maybe that wasn't an impulsive move in a sense. It was just a refund which readjusted the chart without an impulse. Like maybe that's the caveat. It still gives you it may not give you the correct target if that wasn't the impulse. And so you could argue we haven't actually, maybe we haven't impulsed yet, even though that one, that is a correct 5 wave and we haven't taken out the low. So technically this whole thing could be A, B, C2, and we are in the 3 now. Technically, yes. It's almost impossible to know unless we come back, impulse up, and come back and test for another wave and complete the wave. And then after everything happens, you're looking and go, oh, okay, that's where it began. Yeah. We're now trying to predict the future, but actually it's very difficult without knowing the future, where we began, without knowing the future. And so we're in a little bit of a chicken and egg situation. Like we need the egg to hatch, but we don't have we need the egg to hatch. Do you know what I mean? But we don't have the egg because there's no chicken. That's kind of where we're at. So just simply, I like this fib, and so I think the most straightforward price target I would imagine would be an extension of that fib just from these pivots. So I'll redraw it. I'll change it to full extend log on the log scale. Okay, I think that's the easiest way to do this because we know those pivots are correct. We know that launch high there on the gate platform is correct. We know this pivot low of the bridge hack is correct. The reason why we know is because the chart tells us it's correct. We've got resistance at the 786 here and here, a little bit of support there, and we can see the golden pocket is clearly acting as support there. Okay, and here at the bottom of the golden pocket, the 618 was acting as support and resistance. You can see the fibs are aligned, and this 50% mark is aligned up too, isn't it? You can see that. Yeah, so we know that the fib from the high to the low here is correct, and so just the bog standard fib extension gives us some really nice targets to the upside based on fibs. Yeah, just really straightforward. You've got the 1.272 at 89 cents, the 1.414 at $2.10, and then you have an extended target. This 1.618 is considered extended target at $7.15. That's your extended target. Yeah, and then beyond that you have an ultra extended target, which is at $71. That's ultra extended. That's like, shit happens in crypto, but like if it happened you would sell. You wouldn't hold. You know, if you suddenly went from here to $71, dude, not only would everyone here watching my streams be rich, and I'd expect massive tips for all the work I've done on QANX, I also think that you would sell. You wouldn't hodl beyond $71. But just based on this chart, you know, 89 cents is kind of a really nice target, and that's a shade under $1 from the current price. So that's a really high increase in value. It's 2,600% increase in value just to take us from where we are now at 3.2 cents to 89 cents. And so I think just a really simple target would be that. It'd be a very nice target, and it would be a fib. It would be the first fib here, and obviously a lot of people are saying much higher. So let's say you did go up to the $7, you're talking about a 21,000% increase in value. We'd have to have a crazy QANX launch for that to happen. It would have to be crazy launch. Yeah, but you're in price discovery. It all depends on what happens. The great thing about QANX is the minute we break out, we're in price discovery, pretty much. There's going to be no resistance to the upside. And so with a mainnet launch and massive amounts of capital coming in, we're going straight into price discovery, guys. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, once we break that line, we're basically into no resistance, basically. And what we need to see is volume. That's going to be key. Increasing prices, increasing volume. We have to see that. If you start seeing that, you can hold on to the rocket ship and watch it go up, okay, until you start getting some bearish divergences of sorts. But right now, what I'm thinking to myself, possibly this whole thing is just a boring multi-year consolidation range with no impulse. Lots of kind of false starts, but no actual impulse, okay? And what we are seeing are higher lows. So it looks like it's consolidating without, we're getting some false starts. So possibly what you've got are false starts. And actually what people are doing is they're just selling into that, they're buying more, selling into that, buying more. Maybe we sell into that, buy more, and then we finally break out. And then no one sells. And then everyone is buying. Maybe we get into that situation. I initially thought that was the first impulse, but the reality is we've been going sideways for too long for me to be sure of that anymore. Yeah. And that wasn't even an impulsive move. It was just a bridge hack refund. Okay. And even this 500% impulsive move, I think we'd be going sideways for too long for me to justify that as a wave one impulse, because usually the wave one is impulse. You do an ABC correction, then you go into your wave 3 ABC, and then, you have your 5 waves. We haven't had that yet. We're still kind of going sideways, which makes me think maybe not. Maybe we're just correcting. Maybe I was originally right. The whole thing is not originally right, but recently right. The whole thing is just one long multi-year correction, and we haven't actually impulsed out of this range yet. Maybe it's kind of hate to say it. I mean, not really giving clarity, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. Maybe it's something like this, some kind of triangle. I'm not sure how. I'm not quite sure how you draw it. Maybe on these 3 pivots, and there's a little bit of a fake out here, and we're in a kind of like a balanced equal triangle now, right in the middle, above the point of control, above this kind of backtest golden pocket, and we're just range bound without actually having impulse. Now this first move here could be an impulsive move. Yeah, like this could be the beginning, this low here. And then we've had false start. Potentially, if I'm right, we've had false starts before it's gone up and just come right back down. I'm hoping that this is different. I'm hoping, and we'll know. One, if we don't invalidate this, and 2, if we get a zigzag correction here, and then we get another kind of move up and break that X out of trend line. Once we get that, yeah, we are in a bearish. That is a bearish harmonic, to be honest with you, unfortunately. So I would like to see a little bit of volume. There would be a bearish harmonic there, but really with this, you kind of want to go all the way up to the, so, and then that would be okay. If we get a really nice wave now, bam, bam, and bam, to form a bearish harmonic, ideally taking out that high, but if you don't, then you're looking for a 50 retrace. For a back test of this value area high and this breakout line. And if we get that, that's a breakout with a back test confirmed on the value area high. So the whole value area becomes a support structure. And even though it's a bearish harmonic, it only has to come back to the 50 fib. It doesn't have to come back anymore. And then you could get bam, bam, and that would be your wave 3, like a crazy wave 3 like that. Just, yeah. And the timing's obviously, I'm expecting it this year, not next year. I don't know how this will play out. So just based on this line that I've drawn here, I'm just going to clone it to that. To form this kind of channel, sort of channel. And you'll be in price discovery, but honestly, I think if the price goes up from where we are now to about 34, 30, 35 cents, that's 1,000 increase in value. I think a lot of people will be selling, yeah, 1,000% increase in value. How much would an investment of, let's just say hypothetically you had 900,000 tokens times 0.033, that's like a 30,000 investment times 1,000%. You're walking away with like $300,000. Why would you not, wouldn't people not sell that if that increased, a 30,000 did a 10x to $300,000? I think people would sell into that, and therefore volume would be really important. That's how you form a bearish harmonic. If you get an impulsive move like that, then the question will be the reaccumulation. You need to see an ABC corrective. You just need to find a support. People have to buy back in. The volume has to come back in to show you that, and then you can have a kind of another 5-wave move to finish this potentially. All right. So that's kind of like an idea. But in terms of targets, let's just say hypothetically this is some kind of sideways action correction. Yeah, it's shit. Let's try something else as well. That's the last pull. Yeah, look, these, they line up really nicely. There's a bit of resistance at about 48 cents. All-time high according to this is your first big resistance at 17 cents. You see, because the 1.618 extension of this move lines up quite nicely with that pivot high. So that's your first real resistance, I think, that pivot. Yeah, it's not 20 cents. It's what that pivot is there. It's like just under 18 cents. Okay, 17 cents, somewhere between 17. That's your first big resistance into price, potentially into price discovery. That's taking out that high. That, I think that's going to be our first target there. That first real meaningful target, right? Let's just say if we can get a wave 1 from this. Let's say this is the pivot and this is the wave 1. Let's just imagine this is the wave 1. Let's say we go to there. We're really looking for something really impulsive, aren't we? Something like that. Let's just say we have a wave 1 and we hit that target. Yeah. Because I think that's a really good place. I think a lot of people who are in this will sell there for sure. I think a lot of people haven't sold because they're just waiting. Some people won't sell because they're just maximalists on the higher time frame, and that's definitely going to be a good place to sell, because on this extension, that's your 1.618, and it lines up correctly with that pivot there, right? And also I think on these horizontal channels that there was a line, there was another line, correlation. Don't know how I came up with those, but whatever. A long time ago. Slightly higher, my price discovery horizontal channels. The correction is really important. Yeah. So what you have to do, the way to know higher, the way you'll know higher targets is if you see a more of a flatter correction. Deeper corrections, you get lower targets. Yeah. But let's say we can push up in one go right now. Just looking at this impulsiveness, that's definitely impulsive. Maybe that's the wave one complete. That's your wave one. So now we're getting ready for a wave three. And the thing about wave threes, like if that's your wave one, I'm not really looking at it in detail. I'm just assuming. One. See, actually the wave one finishes there because that's where the impulse ends. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The way these waves work is you can get like a wave, impulse wave, whatever, it's wherever it ends, probably there. You get your ABC corrective 2. Now the wave 3 could be another 3 waves, 3 impulsive waves, because the wave 3 is more structured, whereas the first wave is just impulse, impulse, impulse. It's like straight line. The wave 3 is a much more structured wave. So you get a situation where you could like go up as a 1, get a nice flat correction and go up, and then go up like that. It's more structured. So you end up with 3 distinctive impulsive waves rather than the wave 1, which is basically up, up, up in a straight line. So it is very possible that we do that and we get sideways consolidation and continue going. But that's kind of what you want for higher targets. If you don't start seeing, if you keep on seeing these zigzags, then it's going to be difficult to get higher. What we want is flat corrections, which means that people are buying, but they're quickly selling, but they're quickly buying back in. They're not waiting for the price to go down. Defridge says he likes QANX. So yeah, so honestly, price targets. Let's get back to my original topic. Definitely that pivot high there, shade under 18 cents, 100%. I think that's a really nice target. As long as we see the impulsive move take us there. Yeah, we have to see the impulsiveness to determine whether that's a good target or not. Yeah. If you see things change, if you see extended corrections, extended consolidations, it would be different. You have to see how it gets there. That's really important. We have to see how the price behaves when it gets there too. But best case scenario, I think, would be to break it in one go and then flat correct there. That would change a lot. Like for me, that would give us higher targets. It all depends on this next big move and where we get to and how we correct. So we're looking, let's just say this is the beginning of the first wave and the whole thing was just one big correction. What we're looking for is a crazy one, and that would be crazy because that takes us 1,200%. And not only are we looking for a crazy one, we're looking for a really flat correction above the all-time high. And in my mind, this pivot. If we get that, and you get like a flag, and then we have higher targets. Then we have higher targets. Yeah. So that all of that, it all matters when you're looking at targets. It all matters of how we get to the higher prices. And what you're looking for is people not selling and selling and then reaccumulating higher up. Whereas in the past, what's happened is people have sold and they haven't reaccumulated. They wait for the price to come back into the lows before reaccumulating. And that's why we get these kind of pump and then higher low reaccumulations before you get another pump. But the reason why it's coming back is because people are selling, the market's selling. What we want is a situation where people skim, they don't sell, and they buy right back in. So they're looking for higher prices because this is it. This is the moment of glory. They've seen a breakout. We're into price discovery. We're above the all-time high. This is the time to hold for higher. This is the time to hold on for higher. But based on the fibs that I'm seeing now, I honestly think shade under 18 is a really nice target. Yeah. And like I said before, the fib retracement, where was it? It was at like 80 cents, 79 cents was a good target. No, sorry, 90 cents or 89 cents was a good target. Where do I have that? Where did I do that? All the way down to this pivot. $0.90. 90 cents is a really good target. So 90 cents is a good target, and shade under 18 is a good target. And $2 is a good target. Got some good targets there. And who knows in between? In between you can get, like, we have to count the waves. Once the impulsiveness starts beginning, we have to start counting the waves. All right? And obviously the timings here are all wrong because we're looking for really impulsive moves with increasing volume. All right? Basically like a rocket ship. Bam, bam, bam. Yeah. And it's very possible just because of the mainnet. The mainnet is really important. Some people said it's going to be launched at the end of July. I have no idea. If you guys want, go into Telegram. There's a couple of channels that I'm in. The official QANX channel. Oh, there it is. You can join that channel for official information on QANX. But the other one that I'm in is this trading channel. This is the one where I post my videos. There's quite a lot of members, like nearly 1,000. They know everything. You can ask them. There's a lot of people chatting about QANX here. What's the link? Join that channel. Oh, the QVM audit. Shamu is saying the QVM audit completion July. Still more to go for the main. I think mainnet's really important. That's really where we're going to get the bam, bam, bam. Oh yeah, B is saying once we break out that trend line, pumpy kind of price discovery, as Amir said. He is live. Oh, thanks, mate. B is a good friend, online friend. Yeah, so this is a good channel. And then the other one that I'm in is this Quantum Cat. God knows why not. It's like it's going to be the first meme on this layer one. You can join it. Why not? Did it paste? Yeah, the Quantum Cat. This is where you're gonna get all your information, really. This is where I get most of my information. So it's a little fuck, you can't see the chart. All of that effort. Tim the Chin says, always good to long that CPI news. Shamu says the screen is black. I'm an idiot. Can't see chart. Right. So who knows? Like, I'm a little bit stuck, to be honest with you. I like to think that I'll have to cut that out. I'll cut that black bit out and redo that. maybe we are in an equal triangle, or maybe we need to still come back down for a back test of the point of control. The other thing to bear in mind, it's just food for thought. I'm just looking at this. There is a high volume node here. We don't have to come back to the point of control. You could find, the point of control could shift to this high volume node. When I'm looking at the volume now, they're very close. You don't need much volume at that higher red line, and you could get into a situation where you get a pullback, the volume comes in here, the point of control shifts, and you do get a launch from the point of control. That's what we haven't got yet. We haven't really got like a real nice back test on the point of control to go up. And the other thing I was saying was that usually when it's bullish in a symmetrical triangle type situation, the price is kind of at the highs trying to get out. Yeah, it's not in the lows struggling to go up. It's usually, we should really, if this wants to go up, we'll end up here, and we'll end up here before we can go up. And that's kind of what we're looking for. And ideally what you want is, you don't want to go straight up like that, because if you go straight up like that, you're in a bearish harmonic and people will sell into that. Yeah, that's bearish if we go straight up. But if you end up in a situation where we do go up and then we're stuck here for a while, then we have that's more likely to go up. It's more likely to break and go up. Does it make sense? And then it's very different to the original bearish harmonic, because you've consolidated, and so it's not the same as just going straight up in a line, because you're creating a place for the price to find support on a breakout. And that's kind of what we don't have. What we don't have in QANX, I can't see it, is a place where the price can consolidate before breaking out. Usually what happens, it comes from the lows and then it rotates right back to the highs, comes all the way to the lows, rotates to the highs, back to the lows. We don't really want that. We don't want a rotation to the highs just to come back to the lows. What we really want is consolidation, and then the price to go up in levels, and then we can go up. So we're building support levels as the price ascends. That's kind of what we want to see. And ultimately what I was saying, what B is also correctly parroting me, I guess, is this external trend line is the line that everyone's got their eye on, because once that breaks, you'll probably get a lot of volume coming in. Probably. All right, sorry guys, I don't know if I've helped. Honestly, I'm gonna have to come back and have a look at this, because even me, I'm just thinking to myself, maybe we're just still sideways and we just have to see what happens next. Let me have a look at the candles, because I like to look at the candles. Yeah, I mean, I like the reversal structure and the monthly chart. Reds, like that's green doji and then green, and then now we're pushing up with another green. It's like a really nice reversal structure here. Yeah. Let me have a look at these candles. Again, that's a really nice red candle because it's a swing failure. That's a nice red candle. It's a swing failure of these lows, then it closed above the previous month low. So really strong monthly candle. The volume is good. It's a really nice previous month, and so naturally in this month we've already gone up, so people have bought that candle. It's a 3-month candle too, so I think I don't see us going down, I see us going up. And then when you're looking at the 6-monthly, again we have to see what happens at the top here, because again you go up, it's going to pull back, people are going to sell. What you really need, and that's a 6-monthly candle, so that ends this candle at the end of the year. What we really need is we need volume, really strong volume to take us to higher prices. And then the question is, whatever happens, you're not going to end up with a straight solid green candle, because people, the higher it goes, the more likely people will sell into that candle, and then you'll get a pullback. So the mainnet's really important. Like, I'm surprised they haven't launched it already. Yeah. All right, that's QANX. Guys, I'm sorry if it's not helpful, but I'm, you know, I don't know. Should I do a video? Should I do another QANX video this week and just keep on looking at it? I probably should, yeah. I'm kind of like really, I need to spend some more time. Maybe on my own, listen to some music and just chill to the charts and try and figure this out a bit better.